Hi everyone. On the last video, I asked you all what you wanted to see more of, and one of my requests was more opening stuff. So to start it off, I am going to show you a very interesting gambit line, which is known as the Poisioned Pawn Winawer. My inspiration was that about a year ago, when I hadn't been playing chess long, I was watching loads of Sean Godley videos, who's an excellent annotator, and he did a little series on the Poisioned Pawn Winawer, and it produces some very sharp games with chances for both sides, and the positions are certainly not drawish and are usually decisive and are full of sacrifices, and they are sharper than more Sicilian positions, and all this from the supposedly boring French defence, which is actually very dynamic. Anyway, it starts off with this continuation. So we have the Winawer, e5, c5, and now white has a few moves. There's bishop d2, which we saw in a recent game I had to face. There's d takes c5, exclamation mark, question mark, and there is a3, the main line, after which there is actually an interesting line with bishop a5, which was played in a game between Fischer and Tell, which it's a famous game, and that can be interesting. Although white is usually preferred in them positions, but it can lead to some fireworks. Or bishop takes c3 check, b takes c3, and now black can either play knight e7, queen c7, or queen a5, hitting c3, bishop d2, and now this interesting move, queen a4, where it looks like some very artificial queen maneuver, but it puts some serious pressure on white's queen side, hitting at a2, a3, c2, and d4. However, our variation is knight e7, and after this sharp move, queen g4, hitting g7, because black hasn't got a bishop to protect it, so therefore it's more vulnerable. White also plays a4 a lot here, clearing the a3 square for the bishop, and that's another advantage of queen a4 because it prevents this, which is quite a dangerous plan. Queen g4, this sharp move, and now the gambit is where you sacrifice the g and h pawns in return to destroy white's centre, and in a few moves I'll show you all the nuances. So after queen c7, queen takes g7, rook g8, queen takes h7, and c takes d4. The first point is that c takes d4 is nonsense because of queen c3 check winning a rook and the game. So therefore white's centre is destroyed. And before telling you the main stuff, first of all the main move is knight e2. And now I've drawn a lot of arrows on to show you the main ideas for both sides. White's pluses is that he has the bishop pair. He also has the open b file to put pressure on b7 because black usually castles long. Well, he has to usually. But the main plus in white's position is that he has a passed h pawn, and this h pawn is actually really hard to stop because the rook's behind it, and it's sort of actually a bit like a time bomb, this position, because it's a race between white's passed h pawn versus black's attack in the centre, and black has to do something fast, otherwise h pawn just queens because it actually is very hard to stop it. So you have to just attack through the centre as fast as possible, because remember the best response to a flank attack is an attack through the centre. Black's advantages are that he has better development, more easy development. White's bishop is tied down to g2 a lot, and white usually can't castle. Also, black has the strongest centre in return for the pawn. He has better attacking chances. Yeah, he can put a knight on f5 and a knight, and then from c6 to a5 to c4. And it is a very dynamic position where black usually has enough compensation for the sacrificed pawn, I'd say. But the passed h pawn can be a killer a lot, so black has to play accurately. Now, before going on to the variations, by the way, this is just like a brief taster of the line. There will be I might do some stuff in more detail later on. but white has two moves here. There's a sideline with king d1, which looks crazy, but it stops queen c3 check. And the theory is that the knight might be better placed on f3 than e2, and white usually can't castle in this line anyway. So knight bc6, knight f3, and now some spectacular fireworks can occur with knight takes e5, bishop f4, queen takes c3, and now the exchange sack, knight takes e5, queen takes a1 check, king d2. And now, if black is careless and plays something like d3, that is hammered by queen takes f7, king d8, and bishop g5. And black's queen is hopelessly out of play, and there is no defense to losing a rook. And rook e8 is hammered by bishop takes e7, rook takes e7, queen f8, king c7 takes, and this continuation. So instead, after king d2, black should play queen c3 check, because white is threatening bishop b5 check, winning the queen, as well as f7. Oops. After king d1, rook f8. White has some strong initiative for the sacrificed pawn, but I'm not sure if it's enough, and black should be able to defend. But once again, the passed h pawn might be good in this position if black is tied down to f7. So it's a sharp dynamic game with chances for both sides. But white also has to be careful of bishop d7 to a4, because c2 is very weak in this variation. So king d1 is an interesting little sideline, which I won't get into too much detail. It shouldn't be that good for white, but it's sharp, and if you don't know what you're doing, you can get thrashed by it. The main line is knight e2. Now we have all these funny arrows again. And now there's a few moves here. First of all, queen takes e5 is bad, because after c takes d4, queen f6 and h4, it is actually quite hard for black to get up white's king in this position, and now the h pawn is very hard to stop. Remember, black's position is like a time bomb. This passed h pawn is very dangerous, and black needs to get something going quickly. So knight bc6 developing is good. Now f4 protecting e5, which was attacked a lot of times. If c takes d4, then knight takes d4 is very strong, because there is a dual threat of queen takes e5, and if the knight is taken, then queen c3 check picks up the rook. And also coming is bishop d7 to a4, f4, bishop d7. Now queen d3, bringing the queen back into the game, and now d takes c3 because the pawn was attacked. And now if knight takes c3, then this is the main line, and it goes a6, preventing knight b5, and now rook b1. And both sides have good attacking chances here. White has some pressure on the queen side, where black's king is probably going to go, with pressure on b7. And black's got open file for the rook, and probably knight f5 is coming, and knight a5 to c4. And black should have probably enough activity here, although practice has slightly favoured white. White also, of course, has h4, h5, h6, h7, h8 queen coming. So now also possible is queen takes c3 and then knight f5, or rook b1, just ignoring the pawn because it's going to fall anyway, and now knight f5 again, and it'll probably transpose after knight takes c3 or queen takes c3. And if a white knight comes to c3 in this line, then you should play a6 to keep a piece out of b5, because that is very dangerous because it would hit black's queen, which is on a very good square. However, after knight e2, another interesting try is d takes c3 exclamation mark question mark. And now white should play f4, protecting e5. That's a key move in this position. Knight bc6. black has to develop fast, otherwise white's H pawn is very strong. Knight takes c3, removing that pawn. Now a6 again, this key move, preventing a knight b5. Rook b1. Rook b1 isn't good because now there is another tactical trick with knight takes e5, which wins the pawn, because if takes, then we have queen c. Well, we have queen takes c3 followed by queen takes e5, and black is a piece up. And of course now white's centre is completely destroyed and black is winning this. So queen d3 is preferred, and now bishop d7, rook b1, and rook c8 produces a very sharp dynamic game. Both kings are stuck in the centre. White's king is a little bit more vulnerable with the c and g line pressure, but white does have the bishop pair. White's pawn structure isn't as fractured here, and still has the bishop pair and an open b line for the rook. I'd say white's chances are probably slightly preferable, but it's very dangerous. This line, by the way, is very dangerous in rapid play, because the faster the time control, the more important king safety is, and white's king is generally a lot looser in these lines. Black has open lines for the pieces, rapid development. This is a very good line. It is sammed at GM level. Nigel Short's won with it a few times. And if you want to check more out, you can check maybe Sean Godley's series on it. Just type in like Kilgar Chess, Poisioned Pawn Winawer, and there's some very sharp games in it, where you see certain themes like the passed H pawn, black's attack through the centre and all that. And it is a very fun line. And plus, a lot of weak players will also fall for the queen c3 check trap, and there is many other traps like, you take an e5 exposing the knight on c3. It's a very trappy line, and I hope you have fun with it in your games. And for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave any comments and thoughts. Thanks very much.